Hello, my name is Andrew Beckton, and I am a principal of East Elementary in Middlebury ISD, and I'll be sharing a bit of a fundraising plan designed to bring equity to our district. And the title of this presentation is Sustainable Fundraising for Equity in Middlebury ISD. And as I mentioned, my goal is to outline creative, community-based fundraising practices that work even in low-income areas, such as East Middleton. Now, currently at West Elementary in Middleton ISD, they have been able to equip their classrooms with the latest technology, the latest smart boards, and that's a big thanks to strong PTA fundraising efforts by the PTA at that school. However, the other two elementary schools, including ours, East Elementary, have not had the same success, and this is partially due to the economic challenges in our community. And so we feel like this creates a real imbalance, a real inequity in terms of access to technology and opportunities for the students that are in our school. Our school community faces these challenges, as I mentioned. Many families of the students that attend East Elementary do live below or at the poverty line, and that kind of leaves a very limited amount of disposable income within those families. And our PTA is much smaller with fewer resources to draw from. Also, local businesses in our area have less capacity to provide any sort of financial sponsorship. And so these barriers really make it necessary for us to kind of think creatively about fundraising and how we can sort of fill those gaps. The lack of equal funding sort of has led to unequal access to this technology, as I've mentioned. This has really widened the digital literacy gap, and it causes more disadvantages for our students. And so, to close this gap, we need fundraising strategies that are not only outside the box, but are sustainable, community driven, with a lot of collaboration that takes place, outside of our school with our community business owners, and really, probably most importantly of all, without placing too heavy of a burden on parents financially. So, as we proceed through this PowerPoint, we are going to explore some of those ways that we can do that. Now, one of the first priorities that I believe we should focus on is the PTA. It really is the backbone of a lot of our schools in terms of parent involvement. And so making it a priority to strengthen the PTA is certainly high on the list. And of course, this means actively recruiting parent volunteers, providing clear and specific roles, and recognizing their contributions, which I think is very important when we do that. When we recognize what our parents do for our students, it's just kind of that extra little mile that they go and that recognition that we give them that sort of gives them more incentive to stay involved in PTA. And so we also want to encourage time and skill contributions. That's really the primary aim, since many parents may not be able to give financially, but they can contribute their talents and time. And so that's something that I think we can certainly work on in regards to encouraging our parents to certainly volunteer their time, not just money. Of course, this all kind of rolls up into, volunteer capacity building. And so to build up our volunteer capacity, we can provide planning templates. We can mentor our PTA leaders. We can help them to network with the wider community outside of the school. We can have them make those outreaches and connections to local businesses. And of course, as I mentioned previously, having recognition programs such as Volunteer of the Month that can also really encourage participation. And of course, this all makes parents feel that their efforts matter, even if they cannot contribute money. So I think the baseline is that we just want to have parents, as much parent involvement as we can get. Just kind of building off of the previous point that I was making, that if we can just have more parents involved, more parents lining up to invest, even not necessarily financially, but to invest their time and their talents, I think we can really build off of that, and that can really lead us to earning some extra money for our goal. And so, what are some of these efforts? What could they look like? Um, well, in low income communities, things are going to be at a smaller scale. But these small scale fundraisers, they could be just as powerful. Um, Walkathons, fun runs, penny drives. Um, these are things that are sort of low risk. You don't really have to make big investments into them. And every contribution counts, and they can make a real difference. Bake sales, car washes, spirit nights with local restaurants are accessible options that involve the entire school community. So I think that by getting more community involved efforts, I think we could really see some impact. And these, again, these are small scale fundraisers. There's not a lot of money that needs to go into them in order to make a bit of a profit from that. Again, talking about community partnerships, another key strategy is to build these partnerships with local businesses and organizations. And even if financial sponsorship is limited, businesses can contribute in kind donations, supplies, event prizes. Yeah, if we have a raffle, maybe a local business can provide gift baskets or gift cards or possibly goods to that particular raffle. Um, Civic organizations like the Rotary, or even church groups, which are always looking for ways to help out with our local schools. They can certainly lend a hand by volunteering, or even in some cases providing small grants. Local media partnerships with television stations, newspapers, and even through social media can boost awareness of our efforts, and they can really get the word spread about what we were or what we would like to accomplish. So these are certainly all very important ways in which we can reach out into the community and create really long-lasting partnerships. And it always helps. Sometimes you'll have situations where a grandparent owns a business, or a parent, and so it's always wonderful when you have that sort of direct connection with a business owner and the school that their child attends. When it comes to grants and online fundraising, of course, we will also pursue grants and these different online platforms. Websites like Donors Choose, which is a really great option that allows teachers to post their classroom projects directly. Crowdfunding campaigns are also a very good way to reach a mass audience. They can attract small donations from people outside our immediate community. So again, linking those things up on social media or through word of mouth, people sharing that online can get more exposure. And so additionally, applying for local foundation grants or reaching out to technology companies that can provide us with equipment or funds. I've read articles about EDLE actually supplying schools with upgraded technology packages as part of grants. So these are definitely options that we could explore as well. Of course, students themselves can be some of our most powerful advocates. We can involve them in student-led competitions, service learning projects, or they can even talent showcase their work to raise funds. Showcasing student success stories also helps motivate the community, and outside donors, might feel they want to give since they see the direct impact that's taking place. And another thing, judging by this picture, I personally know somebody who was an art teacher, and at the end of the year, they would have a showcase a great art show with all of their students' work posted for parents and grandparents to come through, and they would have kind of a silent auction where parents or grandparents, anybody really, but usually it was family members, would write down their highest bid. And at the end of the night, they would count those up, and that would be the winner of the art piece. And usually it was a collage made by everybody in the classroom, so it was a really detailed piece, had a little bit of everybody's work on it, and little murals and things of that nature. And so they actually were able to raise quite a bit of money. So student involvement, using their work, showcasing their talents, will really play on the heartstrings of, I think, a lot of people, whether it's in the family or community, to come and potentially, purchase things like that. Of course, I think we have to think about sustainability. And so it's very important to remember that any efforts that we make have to be sustainable. And so I think it would help to create an annual fundraising calendar with recurring events that people can anticipate, and so they can sort of plan their time around these events so that we really can assure that we're going to have as many possible people involved in these efforts. And so over time, these events can become traditions that the community looks forward to. So kind of allows for some growth there. And we can also explore alumni giving programs and building long-term support for our school through those who may have gone to that school in particular. So I think these are all really effective methods of making something that's long-term. I think that's really the end game, is we have to think about what lasts, what can continue on, and be sustainable throughout future school years. Of course, when it comes to anything that's financial, you're going to have tracking and transparency, because transparency, I mean, that's essential to building trust. So I think it's very important that we track our fundraising goals. We share progress with parents, and even when it comes to certain goals that we have or milestones, that we celebrate those publicly, that we let our stakeholders know, our parents, grandparents, anybody involved, our communal partners, to know, hey, we met this goal, and so let's celebrate. And so this helps the community see the impact of their contributions. And again, it's kind of that incentive, that pat on the back, that kind of makes them think, hey, let's give again. Let's do this again in the future. And it just kind of keeps the ball rolling, kind of keeps the longevity there for these sort of initiatives. Especially when it comes to what we're after, the tech specific solutions, and because our focus is on technology, we can target tech specific companies. And so again, going back to my earlier discussion about EDLE, and this is a photo from an article that I did come across. You can see that they were able to donate, and I believe some of these devices may have been refurbished, but of course they came with warranties. And so partnering with technology companies for equipment or software discounts, and applying for grants that are aimed specifically at increasing digital access in schools. I think that is a big goal that we should strive for. And so I think certainly reaching out to those people who have the means, or those companies that have the means, is certainly a great way, might even be a good way to start, and kind of allows us to go deep. And then, of course, that would be a great solution. So that leads me finally to discussing that we are going to ensure that our fundraising approach is equitable. And we should avoid strategies that rely heavily on parent wealth, because that's really not what we have. That's not our strong suit at this point. And so instead, we'll emphasize creativity, community involvement, and certainly inclusivity. And, every family can participate. Again, whether they can contribute their time, skills, or small contributions, all of it matters, all of it adds up, all of it helps. So this is certainly a big goal of ours. And so to wrap things up, well, almost getting to the the next steps, I should say. Our next steps will be to form a PTA fundraising committee that is dedicated to this initiative, and they're going to identify at least 3 key fundraisers for this school year, and we can sort of spread those out throughout the year. And then we'll begin the grant application process, reaching out to local businesses for partnerships. And then by setting these clear goals, we can stay focused and hopefully productive. So finally, in conclusion, sustainable fundraising in low-income communities is not only possible, but it's necessary. It's a must-do. And so again, by strengthening our PTA, diversifying our fundraising strategies, and focusing on equity, we can ensure that all students in Middlebury ISD have access to the same resources and the same opportunities. And so I invite your support in helping us put these plans into action. Thank you so much for your time.